Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be in conversation and in relationship with other people as a more whole version of yourself? Well, you're not alone. And if this idea piques your interest and curiosity, I invite you to join my friend Manak Singh and myself, Dr. Node Smith, as we explore some of life's most challenging and interesting questions and social dilemmas in a conversation that is more about how we are relating to each other and to ourselves, and less about the information that we're presenting. So, welcome to the relational field.
But the reason that I'm so excited for Annabeth to be here is that she is one of the lead facilitators for the Relateful Company, which is an organization that teaches and facilitates this a form of embodied relational practice, which is kind of the methodology that's informing our podcast here. And it's also the methodology that we use to facilitate our men's group and the nervous system workshop and all kinds of different things that we're doing here in Regina. So it's super, super cool to have you here. And I'd love for you to just tell us a bit about yourself as a facilitator in the Relateful Company and kind of yeah, frame relateful facilitation for us, if you would.
um Relateful facilitation in my experience is like it's like the psychological and emotional version of skin. Like like I've always had skin, but apparently I have totally different skin than I had however many years ago. You probably know. You know what I mean? Where our cells die and slough off and then they regrow. So like I say that to say that in many ways my facilitation looks similar to how it always has, but it has become anew consistently throughout my time. The practice itself as well. And one of the ways I describe it is just kind of like every time, like I'm like, I don't know what the heck this is. And then I'm like, oh, I know what this is. Like, I don't know what, like a year later. And then for like 3 months, I'm like, yeah, I know what relatefulness is. And then something happens and I'm like, I have no clue what relatefulness is. And I've been through that kind of an expansion of being like, oh, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know, 11 times. And I've been doing this practice since 2015. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I only started this practice at the end of last year. And in my head, I just had the assumption that this is what it has been forever.
Oh, no, I mean, no. And one of my favorite ways to describe what relatefulness is it is a practice that's intending to be updated and upgraded by its users. And so one of the common complaints from people who know like circling and some of our like, I would say like sibling practices, because we have the almost basically the same parents and origins. One common complaint is that we don't have kind of our principles or our like, these are the 5 whatevers or the 3 whatevers. We don't have that. And it's exceedingly intentional that we don't have that, because then it would set this momentary understanding of the practice in stone. And it would restrict its ability, even slightly, it would restrict its ability to grow and morph and change. And we do that at the cost of it takes longer for people to get a basic sense of what the practice is. And as a passionate teacher, that's something I've been working on from different angles. I agree that we don't have principles, because for me personally, I go through these phases of like, this is the main thing I'm working on in this practice. And I do that for a while, and then something happens, and now I need a new thing I'm working on. So it's actually quite personalized, and that's how we train it as well. We have the people write their own principles. I don't know how much I talked about myself and more about like my experiences in the practice.
I mean, I love where you're going with it. There's a lot going on inside me. Um, would you like to at least, maybe say your last name or something? I don't know. Anything you want about yourself.
I'm Annabeth Novitzki. A lot of people don't know I have a master's degree in opera singing.
Oh my God.
So I teach people how to sing and make music, and it was surprising at the time. In retrospect, it's not surprising how similar relatefulness is to the way that I sing and teach singing. And a big reason for that is the voice is the only musical instrument that neither of us can see or touch.
Mm.
And so I often call myself a midwife of the voice because I've birthed a lot of voices, but I've never birthed this person's voice, Joe's voice, or whatever. And there's a limited amount of information I can be certain of. And I ask a lot of questions and I do a lot of exploring. And we also there's no one way that someone drives their singing voice. So with my students, I learn how they drive their voice and I go meet them there. And that turns out to be exceedingly similar to a focus session in Relateful. So it's been very cool.
That is cool. What comes up for me when you say that, Annabeth, is how I like take things that I learn and like apply it in practice. Like anything I learn in life gets applied to my clinical practice. So I mean, relatefulness, circling, authentic relating, it's all getting applied. Somatic experiencing, it all gets applied to my clinical practice. I think that's kind of a wild happening. It's like we just I take these things that then kind of I integrate them into myself, and then it becomes how I relate to virtually everything in my life, which it makes my life a lot richer that way, rather than compartmentalizing and saying, oh, I have this role and in this area of my life, and that role has these rules, and anything that's outside of that like really rigid context is not allowed in there. I don't really roll like that.
There was, I'm somewhat tempted to actually give kind of an additional stream of my history, because I think it might actually kind of be helpful for listeners, where I came into relatefulness from an interesting angle. An interesting step one is that I started getting very curious about Tantra, and I didn't have an idea of how to study it. So I kept like I would find a book and I would read it, and I'd be a couple chapters in and be like, I want to learn about Tantra. This thing's about meditation. And then I would get another book. I'm trying to learn about Tantra. This thing's talking about meditation. After the 7th one, I was like, guess I got to try this meditation thing. So I would just sit there and try what the books had said, which is like, just set a timer for an hour and empty your mind. And I never got past 7 minutes. I was literally screaming out loud, being like, I can't do it. I tried so many times. And then I gave up. And then I got really into salsa dancing. And then one day, one of my favorite salsa partners introduced me to his wife. And she said she taught meditation for a living. And I was like, I'm trying to learn meditation. She teaches a form called mindfulness-based stress reduction. That was, yeah. And I loved it, and it gave me what I needed. And I learned it's not this goal of emptying your mind. That's like an occasional thing that can happen during meditation. That's awesome, but that's not actually what you're doing. And then, so I was doing that for a while. And then I met a guy on a dating app who was like, hey, I do this stuff called authentic relating and circling. Would you
And
like to check it out?
and tantra. Sorry.
He did not. That's another side note. How do you feel about like cussing and stuff? Usually I have kind of a potty mouth.
Oh,
No, we love it.
Should I?
that's fine.
Okay,
Actually,
great.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. So I shouldn't pre-censor myself.
No, you should not. Absolutely.
Okay,
That
great.
would not be in
I have been.
alignment with the practice at all.
Great. It would be so yeah. Side note on that. One of the common misunderstandings of any authenticity practice, which it can be said that relatefulness is an authenticity practice,
Mhm.
is that it's just like, just say what's true.
Mm.
But the truth changes depending on how many of this situation's aspects you're taking into account.
Mm.
And so if I take into account the fact that I respect you two and I want to honor the way that you're running this podcast, then I would want to filter my cussing if that was helpful for you too. If you're like, man, that'll save me 3 hours of editing, I'd be like, yeah, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
That would be the most true. Yeah, go ahead.
That's really cool. It's super alive for me to dig into that, because I love these misunderstandings where it's like it's not this. It's not. It's actually not that. It's not a vulnerability practice.
Nope. Oh god.
Right? It's yeah. This is not the vulnerability Olympics. You don't have to say every single And
No.
I'm curious, what comes up for me is maybe a great starting point for that is the idea of context. Like that, because that comes up with us a lot. Is like, well, what is the context going to be? Like, can we recontext? Can we name multiple contexts? And it's like, how far down the context rabbit hole do you want to go? It's like, because it's everything. But like, how do you explain it?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the core of your question is like, how much are we saying context out loud? Because we all have a context all the time.
All the time.
And we don't always have a shared context.
Yeah.
And even when context is spoken out loud, that has not necessarily any impact on whether we have a shared context now. But it does get in some ways to a basic thing of making the implicit explicit. When I set context, which at the beginning of any relateful session, I like to the best of my ability, I like to say as directly and comprehensibly as possible what relatefulness is. And that is not easy to do. And I personally have a rule for myself that I try to say it in a way that an 8-year-old could be like, oh, I think I get that. I think I know what you're talking about. And gosh, there's so many lanes I could go down right now. In my training, I was trained back when we were part of Circling Europe, which is now Transformational Connection. And as far as that issue of like just telling people what we're doing right now, the common practice with them was basically something like, I don't want to rescue you from the beautiful unknown of not knowing what we're doing right now. And
there's a part of me that like just gets so playful about that whole thing. There's also a part of me that appreciates like the horror and the like disaster that probably is for a lot of people.
It's in many ways, in my experience, it turns out to be the CrossFit of this practice, where it's like, if you already know how to do proper technique on a deadlift, you're going to love CrossFit and you're going to be fine. And if you don't, and it's like, 12 reps of deadlifts in your loops of your CrossFit workout, you're going to be fucked. You're going to be so fucked.
Yeah.
And so that's how it turned out, is like, yeah, for a decent number of people, just being left in the unknown and figuring out, it was decent for me because I kind of love just like figuring shit out.
Yeah.
And it can be straight up harmful
Yeah.
for others. Yeah.
I think for me personally, when circling was being described to me, it didn't really make any sense. Like the words, I could not place it to any past experience. And how I learned it is just by doing it. And sort of coming up with my own definitions and my own understanding of what is actually happening in the circles that I find myself in. So I can see myself placing myself in the camp of where I don't really need to know what it is. Let's just do it, and I'll figure it out.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because
Yeah.
I know some of your history with this.
Yeah.
How influential was AR to understanding what was going on?
Very influential.
Yeah. That was my sense.
Yeah, because I could do those small games.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was out of my depth in circling or relatefulness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get at the studio here in Austin, we get straight up first timers who were on ClassPass looking for a yoga class and came across our thing, and they're like, that looks interesting. I don't know, I'll go check it out. And so they are completely cold.
Oh.
I'm very curious as to what that looks like.
Yeah.
What is not somebody coming in and finding themselves cold, or just finding themselves in a place where they don't want to be? Like, what does that look like?
Oh, I mean, it's rare that they come and they don't want to be there. That's not what I meant by cold. I meant cold like they didn't have any AR, no kind of preceding practice. It looks like a lot of different things, but there are categories. For people who are highly intellectual and especially the people who are intellectual and kind of disembodied, kind of dissociated, they just get lost in being intrigued by the concepts that relatefulness is based on, and they just want to spend the whole time talking about the concepts.
Interesting.
Which is not an embodied presence practice.
Yeah, but it's allowed.
It's totally allowed.
But
it's totally allowed.
You're not going to get kicked out for doing it.
No.
But you might sit with the impact of other people not really being interested with what you're saying.
And so a common misunderstanding is that newcomers come in. First of all, that was only one example, but newcomers come in and they do assume that everyone else in the room does know what they're doing. So when they get impact, they think they're being told they're doing relatefulness wrong.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's where, as the facilitator, if I think that's what's happening right now, I break in and I'm like, hey, you don't have to do what they're saying. They're just naming their personal preference, and you get to do whatever you want to do. Just on behalf of relatefulness. Yeah. So there's that.
I love
common
that.
one.
Like, it's just alive for me to underscore that. Like, I know like the three of us are kind of really comfortable with like the topic that we're talking about, but I think that's a really cool like element and like a really powerful thing for a facilitator to be able to do. Is like say like, hey, you can't do this wrong. Like, we're learning this. Like, the whole point of this is to learn about yourself, learn about your interaction with other people, learn how to be with other people. It's like, okay, you're not doing it wrong. You might be doing it different, but wrong is not the word I would use.
So certainly I agree with you're not doing it wrong as a participant. Now I would give a different answer if you're the facilitator.
Yeah.
A facilitator.
Yes.
You're not doing it wrong.
Maybe you're not doing it right either, though.
There are ways to be more in alignment with where the practice is attempting to be aimed, and there are ways to be less in alignment with that, but you're allowed to be not in alignment with that.
Yeah.
The limit being actually the capacity of your facilitator. And so if someone being the way they're being is just so happens to be something that I'm not capable of keeping this 2-hour session, a relateful session, while this person's doing this, I either have to ask them to stop or I have to kick them out. Because my job right now is to facilitate a relateful session, and I cannot succeed at that. My own shortcomings, whatever it is, I can't succeed at that while you're doing this. I gotta be here because I'm the facilitator. If I leave, we gotta cancel the whole session. So either you gotta do some behavior I can navigate, or you gotta go.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And in that way, it's like a lot of people get thrown off by like, there's no rules, there's no rules, there's no rules. And I'll get back to that one. But the deal is you are welcome to do anything that's legal. If it's illegal, we're going to call the cops. You're welcome to do anything legal that you are willing to navigate the aftermath of. If you are willing to stay engaged and present to receive the impact of what you've chosen to say or do it. And I also say, if that's in alignment with your wisdom, with your heart, with your soul, obey those rules. And that is really, really hard for newcomers who still have fully externally sourced rules and ethics. Because if the facilitator's not telling you that you've done it right or wrong, they are lost in ways that I actually feel deep compassion for. And I'm like, this could be unhelpful for you. Perhaps.
What's coming up for me, Annabeth, is like this. There are ways, what you said, there are ways that you can be more or less in alignment with the practice. And I think, like, at the end of the day, it is a practice. And we can be not practicing. We can that doesn't mean that we're devalued as human beings, which I think is right. But what would be something in a relateful container that you've seen as a facilitator that would kind of point to this is not the practice?
Could I actually say something before
Absolutely.
Annabeth, you answer that? Like, it's a related question, and the question is, there are no rules, and you also said that there are no principles, at least from the Relateful company. So if there are no principles, then I feel, for me, that's almost a contradiction, that there are ways to be more aligned with the practice, but the practice has no principles. I'm wondering if there's more to say about that.
I stumbled across this metaphor in my brain like 2 days ago. So this will be my first time really test driving it out loud, but my heart loves it. So if rules and principles are a manicured lawn, we're attempting permaculture. The rules of permaculture change depending on where on earth you are, what season it is, right? Like what you need to be doing in this yard right now changes based on a lot of different things. What's the soil doing right now? Like, what are the water conditions in this area as compared to like usual in this region? And also, if your average person drives by a permacultured lawn, they very easily could think that lawn is not manicured. That lawn does not receive lawn care because it doesn't look like a manicured mown grass lawn. And that's the only thing they recognize as lawn care. So I would say relatefulness is permaculture in that the rules are not only circumstantial, but are intended to be heavily influenced by your unique ethics and your heart and what matters to you. And I cannot possibly know what that is, and I cannot possibly impose that on you. They're yours. And I'm still discovering mine, right? Like, I have this sense of what my ethics are and what my heart cares about. And then in any given session, I do that and I'm like, I receive the impact of that. And I'm like, oh, I've got some upgrading to do because I want a moment like this to go better than that did. And maybe I tried a couple of different times. I'm like, don't like the results any of those times. So either my ethics need to upgrade or how I'm enacting my ethics I need to try a different method. And in that way, it's decently fuck around and find out. Does that kind of answer your question?
What I'm gathering is that there are principles, but they're ever evolving, and there are no absolute principles. That's what I hear.
There are absolute principles for facilitators.
Right. Okay.
But not for participants.
Not for participants.
There are behaviors participants could do that would almost certainly get them kicked out by almost any facilitator. Okay. Some facilitators might have the capacity. So, for example, a recent one was at an immersion where a guy just had kind of nonstop anger for multiple days and was blaming his anger on everyone else in the room loudly, like loudly enough, like people's eardrums were hurting kind of thing. And everyone in the room tried their wisdom and ethics with him to the best of their ability. And finally the facilitators were like, you got to go, man. You got to go. We can't do it. So that I would say whenever we have this sense that there is a legitimate, like, not tended to mental illness, that's especially certain ones like borderline's going to go bad.
Yeah.
Certain mental illnesses can get enough of a sense of our practice and they don't want anything to do with it because their tactics aren't going to work.
Yeah.
So it's some of the other ones that can be a little tricky for, and we're not diagnosers. So it's like, we can never truly know, but what we can know is like when lots of facilitators are having problems facilitating the same person, or especially when some of the lead facilitators are like, that's hard as hell, then it's like, okay, well, then this practice isn't a good fit for the Relateful company, given where we're at right now, our capacities, our abilities, our facilitators.
Yeah. Brian and Manak and I, we really consider these embodied relational practices, extremely valuable in our cultural kind of epoch right now. Whether you're practicing relatefulness or you're practicing circling or AR, but to be in presence as we relate to each other is, it's such a invaluable skill. It's like an instant upgrade to our entire relationship and communication package. Like, it's like operating system, I don't know. There's an analogy there that I missed, but it's an upgrade. And it's not therapy, which is such an interesting aspect of it. And the way that I've kind of started to relate to it, or not relate to it, but kind of one of the ways that I like think of kind of describing its utility is, it's like, what's next after therapy? Like, what's next after I like get all these tools in one-on-one therapy? And it's like, I'm still not really able to use them in a group. It's like I have all the language and I'm trying, it's like, but how do I make sense of how this actually affects my life and how I interact with reality? That's just one of the ways that I kind of orient to it. But I have a question for you, Annabeth, and it's like, I'm really curious. It's probably my number one curiosity as a clinician who kind of sees the value of this, not as a therapy, but as kind of like a methodology that informs so much of kind of the somatic work that I do, the facilitation that I do, that has a loose therapeutic agenda. And that would be who is this not for? Like,
Okay.
yeah.
There's actually a couple of things I need to address before I answer that.
Mhm.
One, I couldn't help but giggle when you said after therapy, because I keep needing bouts of therapy.
Yeah.
I just finished a very intense bout of therapy 2 months ago. And it was something that I could have done relatefulness for 30,000 years and would not have been able to touch this thing. So it's like, yeah.
I knew you were going to jump on that. I knew I had this sense. I like my spidey sense was like, I know she's going to comment on this. Yeah.
So there's that. There was one other thing you said but I forgot it. So I'm going to let it go. Who is this not for? So a really fascinating thing about me being here for this particular topic is that at the moment, it's not right for me.
Ooh. That's juicy.
And that is because Brian figured out, and this is why he's my guardian angel forever. He figured out that I have a particularly tricky type of iron deficiency that's been causing a lot of the things I've been struggling with for a while. And addressing it has actually proven quite tricky as well. So that process is going much slower for me than I wish it was. And in the meantime, it is quite painful to feel my body. And I am someone who, even within the Relateful company, I have a global reputation of being particularly embodied. And I do feel like kind of sensory is my primary, most natural form of communication, and that words are completely translated for me. Like I translate words into sensations and I translate sensations into words. So I'm losing kind of my primary thing. And so I figured this out the hard way because I had a Thursday night session at the studio, and the last 6 sessions that I led, 5 of those 6 sessions, I spent the entire time sobbing uncontrollably.
Wow.
Because that's the only thing I'm capable of when I'm fully embodied in the way my body feels right now.
Oh.
And then the amount of exhaustion I'm feeling, and it's really not, technically I was practicing relatefulness and technically I was facilitating, but it is not ideal for participants to sit there experiencing their facilitator like sobbing, like gasping breath stuff. And I realized like, oh, this is not, it's almost like you can love getting acupuncture all you want or massage all you want, but if you've got like a very serious sunburn or like you've been like burned from the stove or something, like don't poke needles into your skin. It's going to be horrendous. And it's going to be horrendous in a way that's going to counteract the positive benefits of the modality. And I finally realized like that's what's up for me with straight up like going fully embodied relational presence for me is, so like I'm partially embodied right now, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But it sucks the way that having cramps sucks. So I'm kind of used to that, but I have cramps also. So anyway, it's pretty intense. That's why I'm fidgeting a lot too. But I have more answer to who is this not right for. I just thought that initial answer is quite interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, especially for like to frame it as a facilitator. Like that kind of awareness is, I think it speaks highly to the integrity of the practice. That as a facilitator, you would like have the awareness to take yourself out of the game, like take yourself out of the thing that you love to do. That's like also your livelihood, and like, right. And it's like, okay, actually, if I'm not aware, if I don't act on this, then I'm not in alignment with the integrity of the practice. I think that's so cool.
I took myself out before as well, for a similar concept, but different reason, which is my previous deep bout of therapy ended up in the discovery that when I was a kid, my dad had actually been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. And then I took that back to my therapist, and he went, oh, well, now let's take everything we've been talking about this whole time and let me help you reframe it. And as I started learning more and more about my dad's type of narcissism and how that played out for me, I started getting hypersensitive to certain common behaviors of attendees in relatefulness, and I couldn't cope. I just didn't have the skill set yet. All I have is my lifelong bad habits and a brand new anger about that. So therefore, this random attendee is evoking fury in me that he doesn't deserve at all. He didn't do that to me, and he's not even a fucking narcissist. He just is being a little selfish in this particular moment. And when I realized, like, this is a thing where I need to stop facilitating until I build the skills to be in the presence of narcissistic behavior, and it doesn't do this much to me, where I can't treat people the way I want to. Yeah, so I took 6 months completely off at that point in time and was able to go back. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'm just finding myself really like captivated by hearing your experience with different, like, very subtle nuances of the practice and facilitation. Like, it's so, I mean, like, I'm just like a little sponge right now. It's like
this is great.
It's like
because I'm a total relateful nerd.
Oh yeah, it comes
like,
out, and I just love it. I mean, Brian and I talk about this in the same type of vein as well. It's so interesting, the meta context of all that's happening and all that is able to kind of like be, I don't know, little choice points or little avenues to travel down. It's so cool. But I don't want to get us too far off track, because I really like,
Who is this not right for?
I think that this is a really powerful question.
Yeah. So I want to go deeper into the question of who is this not right for. And the next angle I want to take is, years ago, one of our staff facilitators was also a Gestalt therapist.
Oh, okay.
And so we recorded a whole video. At the time, I called it, what's the difference between therapy and, at the time we were still calling it circling. So what's the difference between therapy and circling? So we got, deep into the weeds on that. And then we did cross into this, like, how could someone know that therapy is the better choice for them than this practice? And they said, it was really cool. They reflected for a long time and then said, if you do a relateful session, circling at the time, and it was hard for you, something went weird and it was hard for you, and then you have resources to navigate that, you call a friend and then you feel better, or you do some journaling and you're like, okay, cool, I see something, and then you're good. Cool. But if it goes badly and you feel harmed in a way that's not like a relatively simple kind of recovery process, then you're probably a better candidate for therapy than relatefulness, because relatefulness, your safety is explicitly, completely in your hands.
Yeah.
And one thing I loved that this therapist also said was, they claim that even in their group therapy sessions, they don't claim that this is a safe space. They said that's because safety is individualized.
Yeah.
And what makes something safe or not is your own, gosh, I'm not going to be able to do a good job of representing their exact words. And it was so good, I don't want to try, but I think y'all get the basic idea. So yeah, so relatefulness is not right for somebody who's kind of easily harmed, or not even that. Sometimes people act like true assholes and relateful, and I can describe kind of why and why we sometimes think that's actually quite meaningful. But yeah, if you feel harmed, or if you don't genuinely feel capable of navigating, holding your own boundaries for a sense of safety, and including leaving if you need to, or telling people, I need help, I need assistance here.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, I really, really recommend you don't go to a Relateful session.
Right. So what I'm gathering is, as a participant, if I feel that I can't keep myself safe in this practice, and then it's not for me for now.
Yeah.
For example, I learned at a recent session, not in Austin, but it was an in-person session. A guy asked a woman, can I put my hand on your knee? And she said yes. And the moment his hand was on her knee, internally she realized, I don't like this. I'm not cool with this, but she didn't say so. And then just afterwards, she went to the facilitator and said, I spent the whole time feeling violated and I didn't know what to do.
Ooh.
And so it's a tricky circumstance. If you can't trust your yes, or if you can't trust that when you say yes and you realize you're a no, that you will speak up for yourself, and correct that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting example. I know in sessions, like in the immersion down in LA that I was at with Michael Bloss, something came up a couple of times, which was like the safety that I feel when I can trust that your no is an actual no. Right. And it's like, it's because in that type of scenario, like when I try that on, it's not only like, oh, like this woman like felt violated, which is a horrible experience. Like nobody wants that for anybody's. And there's a reciprocal of that, which is this guy who may be trying to lean into his own sexuality. The space certainly is a container to be able to explore that very consciously, like a lot of people do. It's super cool. And like, you know, to be able to trust that somebody's yes is a yes and their no is a no is a really crucial component of that safety as well.
One additional give to that is relatefulness can certainly embrace and navigate sexual energy. The people in the room are the wielders of that. And I have discovered throughout time that a lot of people just assume that sexual energy is not allowed at Relateful sessions.
Oh, interesting.
And I've noticed it so much that I've actually
opposite assumption.
Great. I hope I have anything to do with that. I hope all my efforts are succeeding.
I think Brian has a lot to do with that. Brian's always telling me these like crazy like things that he's a part of down there. So I just think Orange County, California, and anything to do with circling relatefulness down there is just like this. Anyway.
Great. Yeah, well, I've actually kind of realized that I need to kind of speak more intentionally around sexuality and relatefulness. So I call my like strain of that erotic wholeness. And it's basically the presence practice version of feeling and wielding sexual energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Annabeth, I love that. I feel so hopeful. You know, it's just alive for me to say that's my edge as a facilitator. And at our men's group I opened, we had a whole context setting around ejaculation and you know, sexual energy and marriage and relationships, and I was like terrified, and it was so cool to be like,
can I dive into that with you for a second? Do you mind?
Yeah, go for it.
Say more about terrified.
It was like terrified to name it. It was like once it was named, it was like fine. But like naming it and bringing up the
terror
context,
believed
that it was an inappropriate, unallowed, like too intimate of a thing to bring up in a public like venue, like in a, you know, in company of any kind. Yeah. And it was like I could hear myself saying like, I want to do this. Like I want to be able to do this. And I was just so scared of it.
Can you specify too intimate?
Oh, it was like I I had this story. I had this story that it was going to clash with other people's um comfort. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that hits on something that gets us actually back to who is relatefulness maybe not right for.
Yeah. I love how giddy Annabeth is right now. It's so
Dude.
cool.
Dude, you should have seen when your eyes were closed. Okay. Social interpersonal norms are when I perceive that something that's happening makes you uncomfortable, I help us move away from the uncomfortable thing.
Mm-hmm.
So often that turns into advice giving. Oh, have you tried this? Have you tried this? What about this? Because it's just really hard to hear that you've got a shitty diagnosis and that it's hard to deal with, or whatever the case may be. But there are minuscule versions of it as well, of like, I'm obeying the social norms of, hi, I'm Annabeth, what's your name? Oh, what do you do for a living? I'm obeying the social script, and you kind of have a sense of, I'm going to ask about the weather next, or what neighborhood you live in, or whatever. People who are a good fit for relatefulness find predictable conversations fucking exhausting. And want to know what's actually fucking happening right now. I don't care where you work. What's alive in you right now? What's happening for you as you're at this weird event we're at that we just met at, or whatever it is. And people who appreciate the comfort of predictable interactions should not try relatefulness or circling. They might have a better time at something like authentic relating, because there's much more kind of structure and sentences and stuff, and so you can kind of obey the rules, and that still keeps a lot of like the unknown like away. But that's another one. The unknown, capital T, capital U, is utterly terrifying for most people, because the ultimate unknown is death. And most people feel great peace and comfort in the presence of believing they know what's happening. Religions give you that. Many religions give you that. And people who love...
Not people that go to relatefulness immersions, though.
People who love relatefulness, it's like they love moving toward the unknown, away from the known.
Yeah. That tracks like really strong. Yeah, absolutely.
And my friend Dara put it in a really cool way one time, where she's another facilitator, really good facilitator. And she said, people who love relatefulness love to look.
Yeah.
And it's such a short statement, but it's like, I want to look at what's actually happening right now. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh, yep, that's fine, and just move forward. Like, no. Hey, wait, what is happening right now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have found, along those lines, Annabeth, I have found the introduction to relatefulness and circle, all these embodied practices, it informs my practice in such a psychedelic way. It's like, oh, you're coming to me to find something inside of you that you don't know what it is. It's like, let's get the backpack and the headlamp out, and let's go exploring around your subconscious and try to find what it is you're looking for. And it's like freaking so fun. I mean, I had a session today that was like, it's like mixed somatic experiencing and like dropping acid. And like, and some people are so like intuitively gifted at tracking their sensation and you know, visualizing things that arise for them in like pictures and colors and smells and all this stuff. But we don't live in a world that supports that at all. And so it's like they're sitting on this like gold mine of healing potential that's just like wanting to navigate them right to where they need to go. And it's like they hardly need any help at all. It's just they need somebody to be interested. It's like they just need somebody to be curious enough to be like, oh, can we look, like, what happens if we look in that door? Like, what happened? Like, what's that like?
Yeah. That reminded me of a thing I wanted to say earlier, which is you had said the point of relatefulness is learning.
Did I say that?
You did.
Okay, I don't
That
know.
sounds cool.
I don't
Right after relatefulness is the thing you do after you're done with therapy.
Right after that. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So, what I would say to that, kind of plus what you were just speaking toward, is relatefulness has lots of facets. Let's say whatever, 200 facets. And I could say relatefulness is blank, and I would be completely addressing one facet. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know that I would say one of the facets is learning.
Oh, you wouldn't say that.
I might find a word that is almost synonymous, but different enough for me.
Okay.
Relatefulness is a non-goal oriented practice, and learning is goal oriented. So that is why I would have a rub with it.
Okay. Yeah.
But one facet is relatefulness is developmental.
Okay.
For like one of the core parents of relatefulness is integral theory.
Yeah.
That's adult developmental theory. And so like the actual origin of relatefulness is Jordan Mishka Allen, and he was somebody who was a hardcore meditator for a long time and was also a mega integral theory nerd.
Yeah.
And he hit this
I'm a
kind
mega
of
integral theory nerd.
Oh, good.
I'm a mega.
I kind of am too.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. If you ever go to the Austin studio, the flock of birds is all based on nerdy integral theory data. Anyway,
that's cool.
But he hit this moment of frustration where he was like, I love the internal results of all this meditating I've done. And I love all these concepts of integral theory, but I don't know how to like do them in my life with other people.
Yeah.
And he hit that for a long time. And then he went to the Integral Center and went to a circle. And went to a circle that was facilitated by Decker Kunov.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was just mind blown. He's like, this is it. This is how to do meditation with other people. This is how to do integral theory instead of just talking about it conceptually. Like, I want to do it. And that's been the thing from there on out is, I don't know that anybody has found a practice that raises people's developmental level. The only thing that raises people's developmental level faster is whatever kind of center of gravity level of development, the culture a person grows up at, it's going to get them to that level of development really fast.
Oh, yeah.
But that same magnetism that gets them there fast keeps them there.
Yeah, I question. Right? It's interesting you say that. I actually question whether that's entirely accurate, because if we just use the colors just like for a quick and dirty colloquialism, like if my culture is green and I elevate to green like really fast, am I really actually staying at like an ethnocentric blue?
Oh, well,
Right?
a
Like, am I
fuck
actually
ton of green these days is being wielded
is
from
blue?
amber, red.
Yeah. Okay.
Not so much orange, but a little bit orange. But
Yeah.
like, so green wielded from red is going to be something like canceling someone for dead naming somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Canceling is pretty violent.
Yeah.
And then green wielded from amber is going to be like policing everybody's verbiage, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Like,
You're
there's
not allowed to
rules.
say that.
Yeah. There's
Yes,
these
right and wrong.
rules
Yeah.
and structure, a lot of structure to it.
So it's all messy.
Yeah. What do
It's
you,
so messy.
so since we kind of segued into that topic, I've been really interested in how green shows up in relateful circles. Like how postmodernism, because it's very much, there's a lot of deconstruction that happens. I think that's inherent in and necessary in working in this arena where like you're inherently running up against other people, like you're inherently interacting with like socially constructed meaning. And so there's a certain level of postmodernism, that's post-structuralism, that's going to be happening.
And in general, people at mostly a green worldview are quite drawn to relatefulness.
Totally. Yeah.
But
so
what
what happens?
really
Like, what are the pitfalls here?
Yeah. So one of the most common pitfalls there is another really common thing that happens at a relateful session is that someone who has lived a life where they were never allowed to have anger of any kind.
Okay.
But adults in their life wielded anger very poorly.
Yep.
And so they grew up in a anger is harmful, is bad, and I'm not allowed to have anger.
Yep.
And then they get to adulthood and they have this gaping hole in their capacity to wield their, we're humans, you're gonna encounter some anger, it's gonna happen. And so if you've lived your life just suppressing it, doing weird things with it every time, then those people show up in a relateful session. And for the first time ever, often it's with the facilitator. It's like, here's the person in power. So it's my teacher, daddy, mommy kind of avatar for that moment. And I think I'm allowed to have anger. But it's going to be my first time letting it out. So I'm also terrified. And I'm certain I'm going to get punished or whatever. So it gets like blurted out in this very, spilling out, puking out, and it can be seems super crude and rude and all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
If the facilitator has any reference with that person, like usually for me when that happens, I'm like, you yelled.
Yeah.
You yelled.
You're saying that, and I had that same response. Like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah.
But pretty much almost any green person in the room is going to start drama triangling, protecting the facilitator or whatever, being like, you're violating somebody, like you're being an asshole. They're going to do, and in a lot of ways, they're going to do that same aggression that the person in fear was afraid of. They're going to be like, you were a piece of shit just now. And they're going to say it super kindly and passive aggressively, but they'll say it.
That's so interesting, Annabeth, that you say that. This is really closing a loop. Maybe not closing a loop, but it is adding a lot of texture to something that I heard Michael Bloss say in an immersion, and that was you're violent toward violence to somebody. And I was like, fuck. I was like, fuck, dude. Like, that is so,
what a good way of putting it.
Like, so awesome.
So that's one of the myriad accidental hypocrisies of green.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
In the name of inclusion, green is like, if you don't accept all people, fuck you and shut up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, is that inclusion?
Yeah. And so, okay. So then in the spirit of relatefulness, because this is such a, I mean, these are things that are happening at the kind of the cutting edge of culture right now, has a lot of these pathological elements. So, and I would say that relatefulness is like certainly at that cutting edge. And so how do you interact with something like that? Like, what's your, yeah, how, like, where's the truth and love in this violence and aggression towards violence and aggression in a circle, or in an immersion or in a session?
So when we get to this level of relatefulness, everything becomes multifaceted to the point that everything starts to actually look paradoxical.
Yeah.
That
like that feels really, like, I get relieved when you say that. I'm like,
okay,
okay,
great.
my version of reality like actually makes sense in this context.
And so I could literally spend an entire 2-hour podcast listing off the tools that I use in those moments. But the bottom line is,
as our timer goes off.
Did it go off? Gosh,
Yeah.
Help me remember. There's one more thing I want to like be for sure to say before we're done. But it's definitely like, I use integral theory a lot internally. I rarely use it out loud because it's rarely helpful out loud, but sometimes it is helpful, or a version of it is helpful out loud. Like, oh, you're coming from objectivity and you're coming from subjectivity, and actually those don't know how to hear each other. So somebody's got to be willing to jump or y'all are going to stay stuck there, right? So there's ways I can kind of reference it that people are better able to just like understand in the moment. But I mostly use it for me as a personal reference of like, okay, it is my best guess that this person is kind of for the first time in their life reintegrating red, and if so, how much can I support and celebrate that without accidentally shaming the person who's shaming the anger? It's like, it's so I'm doing a whole, that's where I'm really navigating my ethics. How do I want to wield my seeing and my best guesses in this moment?
When you bring it back, when I hear you bring it back to like this is where I need to navigate my own internal terrain. I hear the integrity of the practice like shining forth so brightly, and it's so cool. It's like, okay, yes, that's coherent. Oh yeah, that's incongruence. And it's so cool because there's a lot of modalities and methods and out there where I hear people talk about them, and it's like, when it comes to scenarios like this where it's like the rubber meets the road and there's conflict, and it's like, it all kind of falls apart. And it's so cool to like hear you. It's almost like the more difficult it gets, the simpler your response is. It's like, oh, I just like I have to be in more alignment internally, even if that means that I need to close things down, and that this like I can't handle it. Yeah. So cool. So fucking cool. Okay, you said you had one more thing that you wanted to mention before we close.
Yes, it goes back to what is the point of relatefulness?
Okay.
And I have a very personal answer to that question that I discovered. What year would that have been? In like 2020. Oh, winter of 2021. Yeah. So I'd already been doing the practice since 2015 before I realized the very, very core like value that it brought to my life, which is my niece had been born with a severe heart condition. And she started having to have open heart surgeries when she was 6 days old. And my brother lives in Germany and is raising his family there. And so there was a lot of like flying over there. And a lot of this was during COVID. So the hospital restrictions were really tricky. It was a very tricky situation, but she was such a vibrant personality and it was really cool to spend time with her. And then when she was 15 months old, she had like the heart attack that, where she ended up with, she was brain dead. So we all get on a plane, we go over there, and they keep her on life support because they decided to donate her organs. And I walked into the hospital room and I could look my brother in the eyes, and I could hug him with my whole body. And I didn't dissociate. I didn't have to binge eat. I had grown the capacity to be with what is when you can't change what it is. And I could feel all the pain, and I could feel that the only reason there's so much pain here is because of how much love is here. If this love wasn't here, this wouldn't hurt. And since then, I've not been able to think of something more priceless than being able to be there fully embodied and feel all of that. And all of my grief. The grief process was tricky, and I stayed embodied, and I could stay with it even when it felt like my insides were being cut with the thinnest razors in the world. And I could be with it. And suddenly all these circles and relateful sessions where it was just like, there's just chaos and this is miserable. But for me, a presence practice is step one is, can I be with this as it is without having to change it? Can I find my grounding and my ability to know that everything's okay right now, even if this stays the way it is? I guess at that point, thousands of hours of practicing that had given me something that is more important than anything else that has ever probably happened in my life.
What a beautiful note to end on. Annabeth, do you want to give like a little minute pitch for Relateful? Just like let everybody know like kind of where, like if people have gotten to the end of this podcast and they actually are
they're a yes.
like they're a yes to this, and they wanna develop this skill further, like how can they get a hold of you? How can they connect with the Relateful company?
Yeah, so relateful.com is where you'll find all of our stuff, our online platform with people from all over the world, which is so cool because I have then traveled all over the world and I stay with people. Like the friendships, the online friendships, they hold water. Once you meet in person, it's like that plus. It's great. I love it. So we got the online platform, plus you'll find all the stuff, all the in-person stuff we offer. We have a studio in Austin and we have a lot of in-person immersions. We have a level up training. That's what we call our facilitator training program. And I'm one of the teachers for that. And it's fucking awesome. I recommend.
And the next cohort starts in August, if I'm not mistaken.
July, August. Yeah, you're right. And you can find me at annabeth@relateful.com. Pretty easy to remember. Yeah. Did I do it?
You did amazing. Are you kidding me? Annabeth, thank you so much. Of all the podcasts that we've done, this was definitely the most kind of explanatory top down that we've done. Most of our shows are like more of a topic circle, like they're kind of more of a flow element. And I will say that I got the most out of this one. Like this filled a lot of little subtle gaps. And I was like, I mean, there's something special about talking with another facilitator, who's like, oh yeah, because I'm not like actually trained in this. I just, it overlaps with a lot of stuff that I have done. So I get it. But hearing your stories, just a little tiny, like there were like 3 or 4 of them. I'm like, okay, yes. Yeah, that it like really helped me a ton.
Cool.
So
yeah, back when, or in the future when my body has an appropriate amount of ferritin, maybe we can do a thing. The session I was leading before I stopped facilitating I called it WTF is Relatefulness.
Nice. I think I saw that because I've done Relateful sessions on the online platform.
Oh, I didn't do that one online. I did that one at the studio.
Okay.
And the way I structured it was the first hour was like Q&A teaching, in many ways similar to what we just did.
Oh.
And then the second hour was flow.
Ooh.
And the idea being all these concepts we just talked about. Now let's do them.
That's kind of, that would be a cool way. I like that. That's cool. Oh yeah.
Mhm. And then I was challenging myself to, like, I think teaching is a very joyful, innate thing for me. And I've spent a long time in relatefulness, like very much removing my teaching because it's goal oriented.
Yeah.
And I've been test driving, like, what if my teaching cannot always have to be goal oriented? The difference being it's goal oriented when I take an action and I have an attachment to what happens next.
Yes.
And so if I say my teaching and then I don't care what happens next, or I can care, but I'm like, I'm okay. Like, it's okay if you didn't understand anything I just said.
Yeah.
Then I've been test driving, like, can that count as non-goal oriented? And so far it's been good. People are like, please do more of that. That is awesome. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep trying it.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate to that. Yeah. I don't teach like Brian.
I would say teaching and maybe storytelling fall in the same box in this, where, like, it's common for people to think like storytelling isn't presence because that's not happening right now. But, like,
Yeah.
remembering that story is happening in me right now.
Yeah.
And so what makes it present is, am I looking in the eyes of the people I'm saying this to? Am I remembering who you are to me and why I want you to hear this right now? Am I staying in contact with that as I'm telling the story? Then it's fucking present.
I love that.
I feel like that answered a question that I had.
Really?
Because from one perspective, one could argue, well, everything is happening in the present moment, so everything is present. So when
That's
is
right.
it, when
So
is it not
concepts.
present?
Yeah. It's not present when I'm not present.
Just note is there. So genuinely another loophole, and it's not actually a loophole, but can look like a loophole. All you actually need to make something present is that you are aware that it's happening. So we call it making, it's the subject object shift.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm in pure subjectivity, then the only thing that's happening is, I'm angry right now, and everything my attention is noticing is my anger.
Yeah.
If I can zoom out, find any sort of a witness state at all,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, there is a not angry realm of self I have access to that can also see and experience that I also have anger right now. And that was part of my grief process after my niece died, was I would just be swallowed in grief. And then I would ask myself this question, and I'm okay? And it would just, like, zoom out my aperture of my, like, perception. And the grief would still be there, same size, same amount of pain, but there would be like, and I'm wrapped in being held by God. And I'm okay.
Yeah. Amen.